Recent approaches to agricultural production and food security have failed to reduce the absolute number of food insecurity to ensure environmental sustainability. However, the views on how to improve global food security vary greatly and tend to focus solely in increasing food production. Sustainable intensification of agricultural is known to offer significant opportunities to improve food production. The Sustainable Development Goal, or SDG number 2, Zero Hunger, recognizes the interlinkages among supporting sustainable agriculture, empowering small farmers, promoting gender equality, ending rural poverty, ensuring healthy lifestyles, tackling climate change, and other issues addressed within the set of 17 Sustainable Development Goals in post-2015 development agenda. Surely, real hunger is now the expectation rather than the rule, something you only see in the aftermath of disasters. Almost a billion people are chronically malnourished, who just are not the people you see depicted on TV in the wake of a war or natural disaster, but it's much more difficult to portray the structural problem of food insecurity. Malnutrition is the condition that develops when the body is deprived of vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients it needs to maintain healthy tissues and organ function. Nearly all people touched by food insecurity live in developing countries, and three-quarters of these in rural areas. Most of these people produce their own food, but it's not enough to be self-sufficient, and they don't earn enough to be able to buy food. Food insecurity is particularly pronounced in former conflict areas. In countries that have weak governments and regions that are emerging from conflict situations, the local economy is dysfunctional, and there is a lack of the type of investment that will benefit small farmers. Conflict is a main driver of food insecurity. If people have to flee, for example in Yemen, they are forced to leave their lands. Some even return under the cover of darkness to salvage some of their crops, but sometimes those crops are wantonly destroyed. But layering conflict can also have devastating effects. In the Philippines, the mere threat of conflict makes banks reluctant to extend loans to farmers who are then unable to make the necessary investments. Roads fall into despair or become unsafe, meaning people can no longer reach the markets to trade their goods. This is why we also work in former conflict areas. The people there are really in need of support.
Around the world, many people are suffering from hunger, food insecurity, and malnutrition because they cannot afford healthy diets.
Even the cheapest healthy diets are out of reach for more than 3 billion people in the world. In sub-Saharan Africa and Southern Asia, around 57% of the population cannot afford nutritious food. To achieve a world free from hunger and malnutrition by 2030, countries must transform food systems and increase the affordability of healthy diets.
Shifting to healthy diets could reduce direct and indirect health costs by up to 97%,
while reducing the social costs of greenhouse gas emissions by up to 74%. We must ensure the cost of nutritious foods comes down.
If the whole world shifts towards a healthy diet, we have a real chance at ending hunger and malnutrition, once and for all.
We must act now to build back better and make a difference in lives and communities everywhere.
Technology related to malnutrition. Technology can be used to aid malnutrition. Concerns surrounding food security can be addressed using a variety of technologies. Malnutrition can be combated by utilizing technology that develop high nutrient staple crops that boost food use. New and current technologies that may withstand biotic and abiotic stresses increase crop and livestock output, improve soil fertility, and make water available could improve food security. Food security can be aided by advancements in storage, refrigeration, transportation, and agro-processing. Future hospital processes aimed at identifying, diagnosing, and assessing hospital malnutrition are starting to take into account the use of technologies for monitoring food intake and measuring malnutrition. Malnutrition is being addressed via a number of electronic tools and apps being developed around the world.
There is a relation of science principles in malnutrition. In order to maintain good health and prevent disease, particularly on malnutrition, people require relatively large amounts of macronutrients such as carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, relatively small amounts of micronutrients such as vitamins and minerals as well. According to the World Food Program, 135 million people are suffering from acute hunger, primarily as a result of man-made conflicts, climate change, and economic downturns, all of which contribute to malnutrition in certain individuals, particularly on children. Malnutrition is a serious problem in certain nations, and the only best way to fix it is to increase food production without harming the environment, which may be accomplished by minimizing soil erosion, salinization, desertification, and restoring soil fertility. They may also convert to more sustainable production methods to make things simpler. Governments should facilitate the movement of labor and agricultural goods. Financial assistance should also be provided to small farmers and disadvantaged people.
There are many ways on how we can help those who are suffering from malnutrition. But one thing that we can do is to take part in community outreach programs. These programs aim to reach as many acutely malnourished children as possible and achieve maximum program coverage.
In volunteering in these programs, you can experience working directly with malnourished children and their families. Children who are experiencing severe acute malnutrition can be protected and treated in intensive care inpatient facilities. It involves community nutritional assessment, community action, and active case finding of severely malnourished children. These programs aim to integrate the diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of malnutrition into nationwide, state, and local healthcare system through coordinating with local health services.
By taking part in these community outreach programs, children who suffer with acute malnutrition get care, treatments, and support, which include foods, supplements, diagnosis, treatment if necessary, and nutrition guidance for caregivers.
In Laudato Si, it says there that there are a lot of principles of the common good, and one of the concepts of the common good is strongly associated with integral or human ecology. Working for the common goods means making choices in solidarity based on preferential option for the poorest in today's world.
An example of this is our plan of action for the malnourished children, where we aim to coordinate with local health services in order to achieve common good for them by providing them care, support, and treatments. Because in today's poorest world, injustices abound, and an increasing number of people are deprived of basic human rights and are considered expendable. This is why it is very important to help in whatever ways we can, especially if we have the capability to do so.
Nagtatanim po kami doon ng mga root crops na kabilang kasaba, munggo, meron din po doon peanut, tapos string beans. Tapos po, pwera po doon ma'am, binibigyan din po kami ng mga butong gulay para itanim po namin sa aming mga bakuran. Meron na rin po akong mga tanim dyan sa aming bakuran na pechay, ampalaya, talong, string beans, tapos yung iba pong kamatis. Nakakatulong po to ma'am sa amin kasi na wala pong mga fertilizer. Yun pong inano po namin na iniiwas po namin yung mga bata sa anuman na fertilizer na makukuha po. Doon naman sa communal garden po namin,